What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How's it going? It's Dan here from Cryonoir. So the 8th generation. It's been around now for 5 years, and to be brutally honest, at no point have I even been remotely interested in picking anything up for it. Which is odd. Generally, what happens with me for our generation is they'll come out and I'll be very impressed and I'll think, oh wow, yeah, they look really, really good. And then I will go and have a look at maybe picking one up, sort of maybe year 2, year 3, when they're nicely established and we've got a good back catalogue of games and the price of them has dropped down. That hasn't happened this generation. I've generally had no interest whatsoever in picking up either a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. And I was kind of curious. I wanted to know what was what the reason for that was. E3 starting pretty much now, so I thought, oh well, that's normally the time that would really pique my interest. And I started to have a look at some of the games that were going to be shown at E3 and sort of what predictions people had. And yes, we've got a new Fallout game, but there's an awful lot of talk of that being an MMO. Yes, we've got a new Fallout game coming, but there's a lot of talk of that being an online game, a bit like Elder Scrolls Online, so that hasn't really piqued my interest. There may be a report from CD Projekt Red on their Cyberpunk RPG, and if there isn't, I think I'm going to consign that to Vaporware, because that has been teased and talked about now for enough time for it to potentially be a bit of a Duke Nukem Forever kind of situation. Not to say that CD Projekt Red don't take the time over games, but it's been a long time since we've had any sort of news and links or anything substantial about that game. I got to thinking, why hasn't the 8th gen grabbed me the way that 7th gen did? I know the answer already, but obviously if I just tell you it out now, then it would be a really short video. So, time to go on a journey. My initial reasoning behind it was that there just hasn't been the same number of games that have come out for the new generation of consoles that came out for the previous generation. I kind of think that's very possibly what other people think as well. So I decided to hit Wikipedia, go through a full list of every game that was released for the 360 and the PS4. I picked the 360 because that was the winner of the last generation, and I picked the PS4 because, let's be honest, it's won this generation. You would have to be high on crack to think that the Xbox has outperformed the PS4 in any way, shape or form. So I went to Wikipedia for the list, so I could be absolutely guaranteed that it would definitely be right, and in no shape would it be even remotely wrong, and it would be the most accurate and curated list that could ever possibly exist. It should be good enough for this purposes anyway. And I went through and I counted up every single game that was on there for each year. So, here's my handy list. Very professional. So I mostly focused on PAL releases, because if you can't tell, I am English. So that's where I kind of looked. So if we start on 2005, the 360 had a total of 15 titles, none of which were particularly noteworthy, but it only released in December of 2015. So really, that's not really a proper test. So you only got 1 month there. Then in 2006, we got 74 games in total. 2007, we got 125. 2008, 149. 2009, 160. 2010, 161. 2011 was the most year. We got 178. 2012 we got 139, and then by that point, the new generation, the PS4 and the Xbox One were starting to roll out, so it starts to tail off quite significantly there. 2013 we only got 100 games. 2014 we got 75. 2015 we got 36. 2016 there was 10 releases, and in 2017 we got the sum total of 6 games released for the 360, and the final one released within the PAL region, or at least according to Wikipedia, was FIFA 18 Legacy Edition. Nice. That adds up to a total of 1,228 games. Which, that's a good collection. Obviously, there were more released in the US, and there was a lot more that were released in Japan, so the total list is somewhere in the region of about 1,500 games, which is kind of that's a good look. That's a good amount. You're knocking on PlayStation 2 territory there. That's an awful lot of games. I couldn't possibly imagine that the PS4 would even come close to that number of games. I just thought there's no way that it's had that many games. The first year of its launch in 2013, we got some total of 17 games. Now, it did launch in the UK slightly before December, but not that much before. I think it was November time. So, 17 versus 15 for the first year of the 360, that's a good little result, So it actually had more games then. 2014, there was 67 games released. So that's something like 7 less than was on the 360. So I was like, okay, so that's not too far off as well. 2015, there was 117 games released. So, and again, that's only like 7 or so less than were released on the 360. So I was like, oh, right, okay. So, but surely as the 360 ramped up and started to get more and more, when it started hitting the 140s, 150s, 160s, all that kind of mark, there's no way the PS4 would ever be up there with that. So on its 4th year of release, which was 2016, it got 187 games released for it. 187. That's more than at any time on the 360 whatsoever. There were more games released in 1 year for the PS4 than there were for the 360 in a given year. I thought it was ridiculous. I was like, no, surely not. But the figures don't lie. Well, certainly Wikipedia definitely doesn't. 2017, it got 179 games released for it as well. And again, that's more than any other year in the 360. For 2 years on the trot, it outperformed the 360 and the number of games that were released for it. In 2018, we're only just outside of May, so I took the total number of games that were released up to the end of May, and that came to a total of 42 for the PS4. So I then looked back at the 360 and took the same year in its cycle, which would have been sort of year 5, which was 2010 for the 360, and I took the number of games that were released on that up until May, and that came to 47. So it was only like 5 difference. It was only a few more. So I was like, so it's not the number of games that are released. There has been an awful lot of games released for the PlayStation 4. It's got a very large library. So why is my perception of it that it doesn't have that many games? What is it that makes me think that? Why am I wrong? Because I'm never wrong. Like Wikipedia. So come with me into a journey and we'll have a look at the list itself and see if that maybe gives us a little bit of an insight into it. Come on. So this is a list on Wikipedia for the 360. Now, it's not by any means the entire list, but I've got to say it's probably pretty damn close. So it starts out with all the stuff that was unreleased within the European market. So there's all the Japanese stuff here, and then over here we've got all the American stuff. Not as much as I was expecting. I was expecting sort of more American releases, it has to be said. I mean, there were some, but the Japanese and Australia, by the looks of it, they seem to have got, considerably more unique games that we didn't get. But anyway, so you scroll down here, and then this is where it starts for sort of Europe and America. So obviously at the start we didn't have huge amounts of titles, but there was a few notable ones and not so many if we're that honest. Project Gotham Racing 3, there's a thing, Quake 4 and stuff. So, but it didn't really get into its stride until we got into the sort of first full year, shall we say. And there was, when you look at this, there's some seriously heavy hitters that went on to be huge franchises. So we've got the Hitman series there, we've got Prey, we've got Saints Row, Dead Rising. Let's have a look what other ones we got. The Just Cause series there, and then later on we've got Fear. We've got another Call of Duty 3, which was I think one of the last of the World War II ones. We got Gears of War, the first game. Have you heard of Gears of War? Yeah, we got the first Gears of War game there. We got sort of Tony Hawk and stuff like that. So that was just in its first year. There was some serious launches going on, and then when we go over to the PlayStation 4 and we look at its first full year. Now, again, it's done exactly the same here, and I was really actually quite surprised that Black Flag came out for the PS4. I didn't know that, but it did. So yeah, and then there was Battlefield 4 as well, which was kind of more of a re-release. Call of Duty Ghosts, but nothing of huge significance. I mean, Battlefield 4 was probably quite big, but so we got all of those at the in 2013 because it launched around about November around here. But if we have a look at this first sort of year, the very first thing that jumps out at me is Fez. Now, I mean, it's a very good game. Don't get me wrong. Fez is a really good game, but it's a small time indie title. And then Don't Starve again. That's another small time indie title. So just off the top of my head as we went through that first list on the other one, there was loads of really big new franchises and new games coming out that people hadn't seen and that went on to create massive franchises. But here we've got things like Dying Light, which was, okay, so that was quite good. Where are we? What other ones have we got as we go through here? We've got The Last of Us Remastered. Okay, so a remastered version of another game. Diablo 3, we knew how much that sucked. Hotline Miami. That's another indie title there. We got Destiny, which is, trying to kick off a series, but seeing as the first one was okay, not spectacular, but it was quite good, and a lot of people like that. I know the second one's got an awful lot of grief on that one. So whether or not that ends up getting much past number 3, we'll have to just see. And then you just start going down this list. Dive Kick's another little indie title there. Alien Isolation, that's fine. Evil Within, again, that's a big release. So Lords of the Fallen, Advanced Warfare, which was okay, I guess. Assassin's Creed Unity, well, we all know what happened there. So GTA 5, all right, yes, GTA 5, that was an exceptional game. And we've got Little Big Planet 3, Far Cry 4, and that's about it. Do you know what I mean? So in that first full year, there's quite a few, a good smattering of indie titles, and there are there are some treble A titles, but I mean, what out of that lot, with the exception of sort of Grand Theft Auto 5, Grand Theft Auto 5 and Far Cry 4, and all right, okay, so maybe we'll be charitable and we'll say Advanced Warfare. What out of that really was properly spectacular? Or Dragon Age Inquisition, okay, that was quite good. But I somehow, personally, I don't think that's anywhere near as revolutionary as the stuff that we had on here. Like I say, so many of these games went on to create massive franchises. But anyway, that's just the first year, just some remasters, a load of indie titles, and some sort of mediocre AAA titles, and then some exceptional AAA titles. And it's the same story when you start talking about the second year of launch as well. So this for the 360 would have been 2007, and it was 2015 for the PS4. But you start looking at some of the stuff through here, and we've got so we've got Crackdown, we've got Lost Planet, which was that had a groovy little franchise as well that did okay. Let's have a look. We've got Forza Motorsport 2, we've got Dirt. Dirt went on to create a full franchise as well. Bioshock, anyone? Then we just keep scrolling down, and we've got Halo 3 coming through, and then later on towards the back end of the year, we've got the Orange Box set, and you just sort of kind of going through, wow, the first Modern Warfare, and then we're really a couple of Final Fantasy games there. And I think that was about it for ones that really jumped out at me. But that's still quite a few good ones. Actually, I believe that year we also had Mass Effect as well, the first Mass Effect game. Did I miss that? Whereabouts was Mass Effect? Where we got Mass Effect, that came out there in November 2007. So we got some sort of fairly serious big hitters there. We go over to the PlayStation 4 list here, and we've got Dying Light, which that's okay. It's like that zombie game. We've got Evolve. Well, we all know what happened with Evolve, don't we? And then we've got Limbo. Okay. Hotline Miami 2. Battlefield Hardline. Bloodborne. There we go. Right, so we've got Bloodborne. So there's one like serious title there. Bloodborne. Borderlands. A Borderlands remaster. A collection of Borderlands, the early Borderlands games. Dark Souls 2. Right, okay, so Dark Souls 2. There we go. That's a good couple of titles there. And I believe there is some other stuff. There must be some Godzilla. Yeah, that went really well. God of Warfare 3 remastered, so another remastered game. Goat Simulator. I am bread. I am bread. I am bread. Broken Sword 5. A point and click adventure. It's not amazing, is it? Scrolling down. We got Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Yeah, that was chuffing amazing as well, wasn't it? Assassin's Creed Syndicate. All right, we got Black Ops 3, Fallout 4. Beyond Two Souls, that was kind of okay. Just Cause 3, that was fairly big. That was like quite a good game. And there we go. So in that entire year, we got some great remasters of previous generations. Lots of indie titles. Now, don't get me wrong, indie titles. I'm an indie developer. That's fine. But how many of these can't you play on a cheap laptop? You could, and then you've got a PC, you've got proper computer, they're cheap. So, and they're everywhere. So you can't say that they're like, sort of system sellers, shall we say? And then we're talking well, like Syndicate, Fallout 4. Fallout 4 was okay, it was all right, wasn't bad. But and then we got Black Ops 3 and Beyond Two Souls. And Just Cause 3, and that's about it. There's like a couple of games. And then when you jump into the next year, I'm not going to go through every year, but I am just going to, I think I can illustrate my point here quite nicely. We start out with Burnout Paradise on the 360, straight out the door with like a pretty damn good racing game. And then you start going through the list, and there is obviously some filler, which is like Rockman and stuff, but GTA 4. GTA 4 came out in 2008. So, there we go. That's in year sort of 2. We got GTA 4. It's not as good as GTA 5, don't get me wrong, but you also got that on the 360. Battlefield Bad Company. So that's the start of the Battlefield series actually going and doing not modern warfare, you know what I mean, modern style warfare, as it were. So they started doing that around about, that started there at the 360 early on. And then we go down here, we got Dead Space there, Saints Row 2, Fable 2, Far Cry 2. That right there, that was just a series of, albeit sequels, but particularly good games there. Fallout 3, anyone? Fallout Returns and back into 3D. Gears of War 2 there. You just start pulling out, Call of Duty World at War, that's a fucking amazing game. Mirror's Edge there, there is just a plethora. Mortal Kombat versus the DC Universe, that was good. Left 4 Dead there, that was, you just start pulling out games and like they're like, oh yeah, that was really, really good, that was a proper solid title, there we go. And then you come over to the PlayStation 4 for sort of its third full year, and what are we dealing with? Firewatch. We got Firewatch, which yeah. Far Cry Primal. Hitman Go, a spin-off, a puzzler. Heavy Rain, that's a remaster, that was out on the PlayStation 3, I'm sure it was. Assault Android Cactus, that's an indie top-down shooter. Day of the Tentacle remaster. Oh, Dirt Rally. Okay, fair enough. Dark Souls 3. There we go. There's a good game. Dark Souls 3. On Doom. There we go. So the highlights so far. Dark Souls 3 and Doom. Dead Island Definitive Version. Dead Island. Oh, hang on a minute. So that's the same game. That's bulked up the listings there. Okay. Like, you let me know if I'm missing stuff out. Or Fury, that is a good game. Fury's a good game, but it's an indie title, kind of top-down hack and slash shootery type thing. Bears Cart Drift? Bears Cart Drift. So I don't know what that is. Deus Ex Mankind Divided. There we go. It's not a bad game. Like, there's going to be dead air here while I'm hunting for stuff. Dead Rising and Dead Rising 2. Dead Rising 2 off the record. So they're re-releases. The Bioshock Collection. That's a re-release. Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour. That's a re-release. Batman Return to Arkham. Alright, fair enough. Fair enough. Battlefield 1. Here we go. Call of Duty Infinity War. But the only reason why anyone bought that was to get Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. That's a remastered. Oh, Skyrim. There we go. Skyrim Special Edition. So that's a re-release from a previous generation. Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Collection. Well, yeah, that's on Dishonored 2, and apparently that fell on its ass. So we've got a remaster, a remaster, of Lego Harry Potter Collection. That's a remaster. And then we've got a really poor Modern Warfare title, or Future Warfare now, but just because it had that tacked on. Battlefield 1. Lara Croft Go, a nice little puzzle game. That'll go in with the other Go one that we had, Hitman Go. Last Guardian, Little Ace. So there's considerable amounts of filler, an awful lot of remasters, and some okay AAA titles. So I'm not going to make you sit through all of this list because, as you can see, it's it is quite extensive, and it's also the same for this one. This one is quite extensive as well. So as I went through and started interrogating the list as you go through, I was sort of just amazed at just how quick and easy it was to pull off good titles for the 360 just in any year. So 2010, you were pulling out Bayonetta, Black Ops, Vanquish, Fallout New Vegas, Red Dead Redemption, Mass Effect 2. I seriously, listen to that list again. That is a ridiculously good year. And those were just ones that jumped out on me. I didn't spend a lot of time hunting through. That was just as I was counting them up. So it's like Bayonetta, Black Ops, Vanquish, Fallout New Vegas, Red Dead Redemption, and Mass Effect 2. That's a stellar year. And if we go on to the next year for the sort of the PS4, which is its last full year, like the games that I immediately noticed, the big AAA titles, we had Call of Duty World War II, Assassin's Creed Origins, The Evil Within 2, Destiny 2, Horizon Zero Dawn came out in that year, so Horizon Zero Dawn was pretty spectacular. So was Nier Automata and Persona 5 that came out that year. But, re-releases, we had Bulletstorm re-released, we had LA Noire re-released, we had, I seem to remember I saw Duck Game there, Duck Game in the list. Now, Duck Game's a really good game, don't get me wrong, but it's not a huge system seller. It's a tiny little indie project. And that was just what I was finding as I was going through. just year on year out, you would go through the PlayStation 4 library, and it was just lots and lots of little teeny tiny indie games that were holding the thing up, loads and loads of re-releases, and then just just the occasional okay treble A title. So if you take 2011 for the 360, now that's the equivalent to this year in the PS4's lineup. If you take sort of how comfortable developers would be with the hardware and what they're dealing with, and sort of how far through its development cycle. And already we've had like a re-release of the console, and they've upped its power, to try and keep some sort of semblance of being on point. And this year, I worked out, I mean, obviously we've had God of War, we've had a Far Cry 5, we've had Detroit Becoming Human, which, okay, fair enough. Far Cry 5, I'm sure a lot of people like that. And God of War, I get that. Everyone's gone mental for that, and that does look really, really good. But the same year, 2011, for the 360, we had Dark Souls, Skyrim, Forza 4, Battlefield 3, Deus Ex Human Revolution, LA Noire, and Dead Space 2. And those were just the ones that jumped out at me. Like, that's a ridiculously strong lineup. I mean, God of War's up there with, like, the new God of War. That's up there, I guess, with, like, sort of maybe Dark Souls or Skyrim and certainly possibly Deus Ex. But, you got Far Cry 5, a lot of people like that. So we've had a couple of reasonable games. But I don't see that this year we're going to get an answer for Skyrim. I don't see that we're going to get an answer for Dark Souls. I just don't, you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. And then, the very following year on the 360, we got Far Cry 3, Black Ops 3, Halo 4, Forza Horizon. The next year after that, Battlefield 4, Black Flag, GTA 5, Metro Last Light, BioShock Infinite. A year after that, Far Cry 4, Alien Isolation. And then we got the Destiny, Dark Souls 2, Wolfenstein The New Order. It was just every time I sort of looked at it, I'd scroll through the list on the 360, and there was just loads of like really class games jumping out at me. And then all the way through, looking through the PS4 titles, I was just like, yeah, they got, Assassin's Creed Origins, I guess, and Evil Within 2, and For Honor. That was a game. That was a thing. I think, it's just. There was just... It seems like from day one, this generation was doomed to fail. Before they'd even come out, people were complaining that they were underpowered and that they weren't going to be able to match up with even a mid-tier PC. And they were proven right. The standard consoles couldn't hit 60 frames a second at 1080p. Now, those were like basic staples for PC gaming and had been for a very long time. So they had to have like this iteration where we went over to the Xbox One X and the PlayStation Pro. They both happened halfway through the life cycle of the console. In fact, actually, we're only sort of talking 3 or 4 years after they came out. And they were already kind of obsolete, and they were onto the new kind of half-step generation. So you couple that with the fact that an awful lot of the AAA titles we've had have been fairly lackluster, an awful lot of remasters from the previous generation, and then topped up with an awful lot of low-end indie titles. And yeah, this generation sucks. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Seems like I'm doing a lot of complaining at the moment, but that's just the way it is at the moment, I guess. So if you did enjoy the video, hit the subscribe, hit the like, and leave me a comment down below. What do you think? Am I right, or do you disagree? Do you think this is the best generation since sliced pastrami? But yeah, so let me know, and thank you very much for watching. There's no devlog this week because I've been doing more artwork again for the background. So that's holding the whole job up until I get that finished. Then we can't move on with the game, and I will explain all that in a devlog. But anyway, so thank you very much for watching, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.